Hello again, everyone. This is Randy, your sewing machine man, and we're looking at a Singer 503 Slantamatic, a legendary machine. Don't take my word for it. Go around the internet, find other YouTube folks that I watched before I even knew there was a YouTube. You know, they'd pop up, and I'd see them from time to time on various and sundry feeds. But Nifty Thrifty gal, one that comes to mind. She does a real good job of telling you how wonderful these are and giving you some instructions and stuff like that. And there are others. Everybody has the same common interest. They're trying to help you out, help you understand and how to use a real nice machine, which is this 503A. The 503A, of course, it comes with a cam in it if you want to do a zigzag. This is the cam 0. And it's the most important one, because without this you have a straight stitch machine, which is nice, but that's like a 301 or something like that. You want to be a zigzag, you're going to need this cam, and it goes right in here, and you just snap it right in, and it snaps in, and then you have the capacity to zigzag, and it does a nice zigzag stitch. You have straight, STR, straight, all the way here is the widest zigzag. You have the 3 needle position, all the way up is left, center is in the middle, of course, and down is right. And I'm showing you all this because a young lady whose grandma gave this to her, it was her great-grandma's machine, who gave it to her grandma, who's giving it to the great-granddaughter now. All lovely people, all very young, so they all started young and are handing off machines very young. So the youngster's getting it. She's not a youngster, she's a young lady, but she's getting it from grandma. And this is just a real prize of a machine. It's just awesome. Steel gears, direct gear drive. It's as good as it gets for a quality sewing machine. Made 1958, but, you know, they made them precision and very proud back then. Nice machine. Inside here you have your cheat sheet, your little threading guide for the top and the bottom. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. Tension's on 4. This little dial in here is for your pressure on your presser foot. I have it on 4. You can take it down to 3 for something lighter, up to 5 for something heavier, all the way up to 7, 8, 9, and then all the way down to darn if you want to do freehand and free motion quilting, stuff like that. So I keep it on 4. It's right about in the middle. And I'll show you how to wind a bobbin here real quick. Go over here. Here's your stitch length, and this is in stitches per inch. 20, that's a lot of stitches per inch, all the way down here to 6, which is a real long top stitch. Generally about 10 stitches per inch is where you're going to be doing most of your sewing. That's a garment stitch. Okay, let's wind a bobbin on this thing and get started. It takes a 66 class Singer bobbin. Now, you can see for Singer machines, it'll be plastic and you'll get confused. It won't work. This is a 15 class bobbin. See how much wider it is than this one. This will fit inside of that one. This will not work in this machine. It will jam it. This one does quite nicely. And you know, I'm a big fan of metal bobbins, but if you get a new bobbin, they won't be as well made as the originals because they're fabricated and they have a ridge right along here, and it makes a problem. So these are poured into a mold. They're very consistent and they're quality control. So see if you can get a plastic bobbin. If you get a new one, don't get the new metal ones coming out of the various and sundry countries that don't do a real good job of making metal things. So make sure you have the right bobbin. 66 class bobbin. The thread's going to be a all-purpose dual duty or the equivalent. And this machine has the pop-up spool pen. Now this one, you can get these that when you fold the lid down in, it folds like so. It goes out of sight. You have the auxiliary spool pen, so if you have a great big old spool, you can put it up here on top, and this is key. If you have one of these, a lot of times they're in the machine when you buy them. Check for that. Sometimes they'll be an accessory box, but they're down there, and this is a nifty item to have. If you don't have this, this limits how much of a big old spool you can put on there, but it's workable. So when you wind the bobbin, you want to have this because you don't have access to that up there really when you're winding, because you have to use your guide and your other guide. So we're going to put this all-purpose dual duty thread. You want to put it on here. We're going to run it around the front of this guide, around the front, around the back, and come over here to this little guide right here, and we're going to put it on, put it in the bobbin, put it up through the top hole in the bobbin, the way we always do. Put it up through the top hole, stick it right up through like so, and then we put this on the winder. Make sure this is coming out the top, Got the guide over here, front, around the back, over to the guide here, up through the hole. Disengage the hand wheel by holding the inside brown and bringing the outside tan towards you about a quarter of a turn. All right. Find your foot control or knee control. It's in the cabinet, have a knee control. Hold it like so. Give it the gas. Watch it go. Make sure this doesn't launch into space. If you hold that nice and tight, it will cut the thread off, like I show you from time to time. And you watch this guide up and down. Sometimes you have to help it, get it real pretty. But this is winding very nicely. And when it's full, it'll kick off. If you don't want to wind it full, you can stop it halfway. If you have a small project, disengage it, you lift it off, and then you load it in the bobbin case. Now, the bobbin case is down here in front of the needle. Now here's the bobbin case area. Swing this to the back. Slide plate comes towards you. The bobbin's like so. Let me snip this real quick. Snip, take the bobbin out. When you put the bobbin in, you want to be turning counterclockwise. It's going to drop in like that. You have a little notch right here. Let's get as close as we can get here so you can check this out, so you can really see what's going on, because this is close stuff, and it's got to be right. You want it to be close. It's got to be right on the money. Right here's a little notch where the thread goes in, right here. Little notch. It goes in. Right there, 6 o'clock position. I'm making it harder than it is because working on this camera. And it slides underneath and comes out over on the other side at about, I guess, the 8 o'clock position. So that's how you load. That's how you load the tension underneath that little flat piece of spring there. Now, when you want to close the daggone slide plate, there's a little notch right there. You can put it in that notch and close it if you'd like to. Now let's thread the top. Now the top on these front loads machines, they thread very similar in the Rocketeer, the 401, all those. But this the 500 series different because it has this little place right here. And the reason they had this designed was because double knits, they couldn't get machines to sew properly on double knits, so the engineers came up with this little ditty here to help them catch the loop on double knit, singlet, tricot, nylon, stuff like that. So what we're going to do, start up on top with the spool. And of course, whenever you wind a bobbin on any machine, step one is raise the presser foot lever in the back. Raise it up. And what that does is it spreads those tension discs apart. The tension discs are together when you lower it, and they open when you raise it. Lower it, raise it. So you raise it to open the tension discs, and you just follow your thread guide. You got one here, right there, and then we'll bring this down, the opposite of up. There we go. And this one has, instead of going straight down, it has a notch here, a thread guide rather, there, right here, down, up. It's got one here in the top, right there. And that's how this one threads. Kind of weird, but that's the way the 500s. You can miss this. As a matter of fact, they sent us a update when they figured out that there was a better way of doing it. That's somebody's opinion, of course, but they said for us to just tuck it behind here, and roll it around and go through. So either way you want to do it, Singer prescribed either one. There were hardheads and old school people said you got to do it this way, and then the new one said do it the other way, as long as it works. But you don't have to worry about that, because with the modern needles like the 2045 Singer Yellow Band and with the Schmetz Stretch, you don't have to worry about sewing on troublesome knits and woven fabric, stuff like that. So you got this, you got that, and you're going to come off of your guide over here on the side, just like we did on the 301 the other day. You're going to follow your guide over on the right hand side, right here. Follow that and it'll jump right between the discs. You don't want to get in front, up here. It'll make a mess of a stitch, or in the back. And it'll go in there, but you'll start sewing, it'll make a mess. So take it right off that little guide there, and it'll jump right in between the discs. I always hold the thread up at the spool so I can bring it around, catch the spring, and listen for the click, click. because every time you take a stitch, that spring has to bounce. That's what gives you your take-up. Your take-up spring is what that's called. So once you've done that, then you're ready to go to your take-up lever. Here's the take-up lever right here. Thread take-up lever right to left through there, and then straight down. And it's a good idea to lower it there and pull. Make sure you feel that resistance. That's the way you know you got it between the disc. If you lower it and you pull this and there's no resistance, like someone actually has a hold of it and won't let go, then you know you missed your disc and you need to try it again. So you want to go ahead and thread it up. You got a thread guide 1, 2, 3, and 4 thread guides above the needle. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to get crazy, brave. We're going to try to thread the needle. It threads front to back. And this is a size 14 needle. And I say 14 needles are easier to thread than, say, a 12 or a 10 or an 8. You know, some of those wacky ones like that. Need some light on the subject so I can see what the heck's going on here. There's the eye. Put it right through. No way. Yeah, what do you know? The light helps. And when you replace the needle, always make sure when you replace the needle that you put the flat side to the back, push it all the way up into the stop point, tighten it down with it all the way up, and always run your thumbnail rather, the length of the needle on the front, and you'll feel that long groove, because the long groove is opposite from the flat in the back. If you have the flat in the back, you double check with the long groove in the front, then you know you have it threaded right. When you call me and say it's skipping stitches, it breaks the thread, it just won't work, I will say that you have the needle in exactly backwards. You say, but it only goes in one way. Oh, I've seen creative customers of mine put it in so many ways, you can't believe it. Like the number of points on a compass. 360 to be precise. Okay. You lower your presser foot, hold both threads to begin sewing. Lock down your bobbin winder since we're not winding bobbins anymore. And away you go. And it's a good high-speed machine. It'll get up and go. But if you get one of these and you find it somewhere and you just get it out for the very first time, realize that the first thing you have to do is get the motor conditioned properly, because you'll get one of these that's been sitting for 40 years, 20 years, whatever, and you'll start running it and it'll run very slowly. It'll just, you're like, what the heck's going on? That's when you disengage the hand wheel over here on the side. You disengage the hand wheel and you run this thing. When you start it up, it'll sometimes it'll just spitter and sputter. It'll sound like that. You'll think, wow, that's not good. If you have it under load and running the machine, it'll really take forever. But if you take this loose and run it until it gets to this sound here, and it may take a few minutes, it may take 10 minutes, but you run it and run it and run it until it'll keep picking up speed, and then eventually it'll sound like this, because it's a good quality motor with good bearings, heavy motor brushes, and a good wound armature with good heavy coils of copper. And when you get it running like this, then you can engage the hand wheel, and then you can run it without worrying about it causing any problems or getting the motor hot or anything like that. It just speeds up the process considerably. Up here on top, the stitches that you have decorative stitch, you have another decorative stitch, decorative, that's your zigzag, decorative, just doodad stitches, I call them. That's a hem stitch, functional. That's a 3-step zigzag. That is a stretch stitch right there. If you put that cam in, cam number 9, try to get that 3-step, 3 to the left, 3 to the right, and it'll sew on elastic. You can hold elastic flat, sew on it, and it'll stretch to infinity without breaking. It'll stretch to straight without breaking. Or you can sew it stretched if you want, like buck up a sleeve or something like that. You can stretch it all the way out and sew it flat and it'll bounce back. So it's an awesome machine. This one right here is a functional stretch stitch. The other one's a doodads. That's an overlock. But these are state-of-the-art stitches on a machine that will absolutely last. Okay, it's in its 4th generation now. It was great-grandma grandma, mom, and now great-granddaughter, number 4, she has this machine. And she is a lucky young lady because now she can leave it to as many as she wants. I would say 4 more generations without even batting an eye. This thing will sound just like this, and it'll sew just like this. Just a gorgeous machine. People say I have a 500A. Is that the same as a 503? Same as a 504? They're all the same platform. They do different stitches. Everything interchanges. They're awesome machines. If you can get any of those machines, just like the 400, or the 401, 403, 404, any of those, the Slantamatics, get any of those machines, and you will have an awesome machine that you can hand down for generations. This one is on 4th generation, young lady. Can't beat it. Thanks.